All right. We're live. Actually, we're not live. We're just recording it, right?
Yeah.
So, welcome to the show that has no name.
There you go. The No Name Texas Real Estate Show.
Maybe that's what we'll call it. The No Name Texas Real Estate Show.
No Name Texas Real Estate Show.
All right. That's what we'll call it.
All right. Wow.
There we go.
Episode 1 done.
Episode 1. All right. We've only been like trying to start this thing since what, January?
At least.
Yeah, it was like January, February when we started talking about it. So I don't know if we'll do the radio thing. I keep going back and forth with them. I'm like, I don't know. Do we do a radio show?
So the podcast goes. And,
yeah.
I mean, we can always have Lean Associates sponsor the radio, and
it's and then you do have to get a guy that actually cuts these episodes up because they've got certain clocks and times and all that stuff you got to hit. So it ends up being a couple of bucks, but we'll see. We're doing a happy hour this afternoon. Yep. So get some more folks in the door, do some more deals, and I could see us doing it. So so we were talking about deals before we went live.
Yeah.
I got some bad news from a buddy of mine that looks like he's got a buddy that's going to be losing his shorts.
like a lot of people.
Like a lot of people.
Like a lot of self-made millionaires going bankrupt.
That's right.
This year will be a lot of self-made millionaires going bankrupt.
Yep. And then they'll just turn around and
do it
again. Back out again. And what is the guy's name? He recently passed away. A big oil and gas guy out of he went to Oklahoma. I remember his name. T-Boone.
Oh yeah.
T-Bone Pickens. How many times he filed?
I didn't know he died.
I thought he did.
Oh, you're probably right.
I thought it. Let me look.
You're probably right. I'm sure you are.
Let's look.
Wow. But I mean, how many of those oil and gas guys have?
He died in 2019.
Oh wow, that's crazy. That's so far.
I know, right? Yeah, out of the loop.
Yeah, they, but the oil and gas guys did it back in the 80s and 90s. Those guys would drill for oil and have 4 dry wells and go bankrupt and
do it all over again.
Do it again, man. And so until they hit, and then they became millionaires and billionaires.
Yeah.
So.
I'm listening to an aviation podcast right now, working on my pilot's license stuff. And this one guy said he was talking about this is a professional pilot podcast. So it's about guys like one guy's a former Air Force guy. He flies for Southwest, and the other guy I think flies like Gulfstreams or something like that. And so it's really for professional.
So they're not there in Cessnas with a single engine.
Yeah, it's not. Everyone listens to it, but it's like career advice. That sort of thing. So they have a guy who's a consultant, helps people find jobs in aviation, all that stuff. And he said, would you lend money to a guy that went through bankruptcy? And everyone's like, well, I don't know, maybe. He goes, well, if you were the first guy to lend to him after bankruptcy, we might find out if he's the real deal or not. But if you filed bankruptcy 4 years ago and had 10 deals that were super successful, you're like, oh yeah, right. So it's the hard part is that first deal out of the gate, right? After you go through that process. And you and I were talking about a guy earlier today, and he told me, he's like, my buddy's lost 40 pounds just from like, I think I'm going to lose everything. And it's like, man, it sucks.
Yeah. But if you're in real estate long enough, it happens. Right.
Yeah.
Because real estate's cyclical, and everybody knows it's been doing long enough that it's cyclical. And so if you do real estate long enough, at some point you're going to fail.
Yeah. You're going to eat. I call it eating one. You're going to eat one.
You are. And hopefully hopefully you don't eat one like sounds like he's going to do and go bankrupt. Hopefully you eat one and you have 3 or 4 other ones along the way that keep you going. But it happens. It happens. I've been doing this at least 25 years in commercial.
Yeah. And
I've seen it happen numerous times where, commercial guys lose it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, on the commercial side, that's why he put everything in LLC.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it sounds like he didn't put everything in it. He didn't have non-recourse loans.
Yeah, that's the trick is the non-recourse debt.
But you got to get big enough that lenders trust you to do non-recourse.
Right.
But I can tell you, right? I can't give names or anything, but obviously, but there is a large commercial real estate owner, nationwide real estate owner, not local, that they just so happened on one of their deals. There's a couple of them. I don't know if there's two or 3 or 4 of them. They're partners at the top, all millionaires before they got into real estate. Decided to get in real estate, raised a bunch of money on a lot of buildings. One of them they personally guaranteed, and it's a big number.
Oh,
and it's about to go BK. And so they're trying to work out a payment with a lender where they can just write a check, each one of them, versus having to come up with the entire amount.
wow.
'Cause it would be at least 15, 20 mil a piece that they'd have to fork up
Are you
if they had to cover the loan.
Wow.
Cover the loan less what the building's worth now. So even if they said the building's worth X and the lender said, yeah, we agree that's what it's worth, if they had to come up with the delta to personally, they'd have to write checks of at least $10 to $15 million a piece.
Damn. Big project.
So it doesn't happen just to the local guy buying apartments. It happens to the big dogs, the big dogs. So
yeah, and that's what those market cycles are, right?
Yep. And you hope you don't get caught in one. And unfortunately, everybody that decide to buy pre-COVID, post-COVID, thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to crush it. Unfortunately, the market went down, and the rates they were getting at that point at 3-4%.
Yeah,
right.
I think that day will come back. I think we'll get one more debt cycle like that, and then after that, I think it'll be kind of back to the 6-7-8% era. I just had a conversation with a nationwide hard money lender yesterday, and it was an interesting conversation. I said, hey, what are your, how much you guys lending? Because what I'm hearing out on the street here in Houston is a lot of these local hard money lenders are out of money. Yeah, they're completely tapped out. So he said, well, we funded 500 million last month. I was like, oh,
wow,
they're a subsidiary of a really big mortgage bank.
Oh yeah.
So
they got some significant money behind them.
A lot of money. He said,
and those mortgage banks don't know where else to put the money.
Yeah,
so they're like, all right, we can make 10% loan hard money to single family or small multifamily. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, they're also, your exposure is just so much more or less. Yeah, that makes sense.
But he said he personally funded 85 million in construction draws last month. Wow. So I said, okay. I'm like, this all sounds great. You got plenty of money. He's like, I got money for days. I said, okay. So what's the rates and all that stuff? He said 8 3/4.
That's super low.
Hard money, dude.
That's
8 3/4.
Super low.
And I said, okay, this tells you how much freaking money they have, right?
Okay, so when we get done with this, you got to give me this information.
Yeah. he said, now they are 90% LTC.
That's fine.
And they're going to load in all the interest that you would pay on that loan.
But that's not unstandard. I know guys. I mean, I know other guys do that.
Yeah. And then he said, I said, okay, well, how many points? I'm waiting for like
LTC with including construction.
Yeah.
So
the whole loan, but the whole loan.
Yeah.
Hard and what he calls hard and soft costs, so the whole shoot match.
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah.
And then he says, and they'll probably make you escrow for taxes and insurance, all that crap, right?
Which is pretty standard nowadays.
Yeah. So then he says, I said, all right, hit me with the points. And he goes, here's how we do points. 0.5 point every 6 months. I said, wait a minute. To how long? He said 18 months. I said 1.5 points at 8 3/4 for 18 months. He said, yeah. I was like, okay. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
Right?
What's the downside of this?
Yeah. What fairy tale? And he said, so I said, okay, what are the fees? He goes, we got a standard $1,000 underwriting fee and then some other $1,600 BS legal fee or some nonsense like that. And I'm like, that's it? And he goes, yeah, man, that's it. I was like, no wonder you guys are lending so much freaking money. So I said, so what do you do? He said, I'm single family, up to 4 units and construction. We do a ton of new construction. I was like, okay. And I said, do you guys do anything for long term? And he said, not really our bailiwick. Probably best. He said, we can do it, but you want a DSCR loan, probably go somewhere else. We're not the best for it. So
at least he's honest, because I know a lot of guys that say they're DSCR and they're not. Yeah. And then you do it one time and you're like, you're not really.
Yeah, you're not great.
You're basically going out to the market and shopping it and trying.
You're doing the same thing I do.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Call a bunch of brokers.
And then right, exactly. He's basically third party to broker.
Yeah. But
really, it's interesting. A minute ago you mentioned, because they're making you escrow taxes and insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you remember 3-4 years ago, you never did that.
Oh, they never did. Right.
Well, because taxes and insurance were so like.
Oh, it was nothing.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you go buy a house and maybe for the year, taxes and insurance combined, if you're buying mid to low level stuff, was $2 or $3 grand for the whole year. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So the hard money guys didn't care, right? They asked 2 or 3 grand.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, you get some of them now. It's
Dude,
on a $200,000 house. It could be 5-6 grand.
I'm getting quotes right now, and I'm contemplating just letting the lender do forced place policy because it's like $2 grand, $2,500. I'm getting quotes now at 35, $4 grand for a 1,500 square foot house. They're saying replacement cost is almost $200 a foot, and I'm like, there's no way. That doesn't even make sense.
No, it doesn't. Well, it depends on where it is, but yeah.
Oh, it's probably right down the street here.
Yeah.
What are you seeing on your stuff? Have you got a portfolio for them?
No, not yet. I've actually, guy pitched it to me. I tried calling him, he never called me back, which is crazy. I need to go look at portfolio for that, but you know, I did the same thing. I had one of mine where I got back and it was like $3,200 or something for a house that's probably worth $150,000, $180,000 if I sold it. So not obviously a low income, low to middle income family, but yeah, the lender sent me a note saying, hey, your insurance is going to lapse. If you don't, we're going to self perform it, and it's going to cost you $2,500, and you can probably find it cheaper somewhere else. So I'm like, no, I can't. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it. Ooh.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Remember back in the day when you would get the forced place policy threatening letter? It's like, it's gonna be this, and you're like, oh yeah, I better go shop it because it's usually $150, $200 a month. And now it's like, oh no, I want that. It's literally a third of what
which is crazy.
It makes no sense.
I guess it's because they're getting better rates because they got a multitude of real estate.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we had that portfolio policy forever, and it lapsed, and it was not great. So then we just started placing them individually.
Yeah, and that's I did try it. I don't have a ton of real estate. I think I've got 27, 29 houses right now. I tried it when I had like 18 or 19. And basically I have 2 insurance brokers I kind of use for my single family. And both of them told me, you might save a little money, but I doubt it. You're probably going to spend more on a master plan policy for single family than you will. Only because some of them you can, I do have some of my properties that do have low insurance. So some of the stuff in Port Arthur, get the east side of Port Arthur, and that stuff, the value of the house is literally like $90,000 after I remodeled it.
Yeah.
And so I get insurance on that stuff for like $500 a year, $700 a year, right? But if I put it on a master policy, it'll double it.
Yeah, they're gonna throw it all
because they're gonna throw it with everything else.
We had a really good one when Tom and I were flipping houses, in that we paid by the day. So I had a portal. Oh, it's awesome. So I had a portal, and I'd log into the portal when we're going to closing, and I would literally just put the address in there. And then, you got to give the description, stucco, brick, whatever, all that stuff. And it was complete coverage. It gave us vacancy coverage, obviously construction when we're opening up the building envelope. Then it would do our renter's policy if we decided to rent it, but it would do all that. It was one giant blanket policy for everything. And when you're flipping houses, it's awesome because you're in it for 3 months. Then you're not waiting for an insurance check. Flood is fully earned. You know what I mean? Like there's all that stuff.
Especially when you're flipping them, because you guys are flipping.
Yeah,
truly flipping them. And so you renovate. If it's a quick renovation, like you said, 30, 45 days, you put on the market, and all of a sudden 120 days later, you're out of it.
Yeah.
But now you're waiting for your check back for the last 8 months of
Yeah.
premium that you paid. So you're always waiting for money to come back in. And then somebody's got to track all that too.
Right. And I guarantee you that ain't happening. Right. So it's kind of like utility deposits for water.
Yep.
I bet we have tens of thousands of dollars of water deposits out there that we need to go collect at some point. But you just get to the point where it was so much easier when we had that. And then that company stopped offering it. Like, it wasn't that it was more expensive. They just stopped offering it. Man, it was a great policy. And I got to talk to a couple of guys that were in it. And they said, you know how that's all started? I said, no. Like I said, there's some guy up in the Northeast somewhere that had like 500 rentals, like single family, like came from the family. And it was like just a big portfolio they built like over 2 generations. And then he talked to a guy that actually, the insurance company, and they built one just for investors. They had like 30,000 assets in there. It was awesome.
I wonder why
I don't know.
I wonder why they just didn't increase the rates of.
I don't know. Maybe they didn't want to do it in the South anymore. I mean, that could have been, they just didn't want the Gulf Coast exposure.
Maybe.
So
there's been a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's been a lot of them pull out of Texas and all the Gulf Coast.
Yeah. So
which is why it's driving the rates.
Yeah. So what are your owners seeing on these commercial buildings insurance? Because it's got to be outrageous over the last couple of years.
So it's interesting. It's been going up and up and up and up and up and up. Luckily, our broker has done a really good job of keeping us down. So we have a master policy on that we offer all of our clients. So we can put several million square feet on there, which means you can go out to the bigger boys, and Hartfords and all those guys to bid it, because they'll bid 3 million square feet. They're not going to bid 150,000 square feet, right? Which 150,000 square feet is still a nice size. Yeah. I mean, the building we're sitting in is not much bigger than that. So, but they're not interested in it, right?
Yeah.
They want bigger to just, it diversifies their exposure on it. So anyways, they've done a really good job. But this last go around, we actually did really well. We only went up I want to say it was 3.5%, which is like a huge win. I mean, everybody's back 10 years ago, you were like 3.5% was normal.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, no, we only went up 1%. Right. But nowadays, I mean, if you can go up 3.5%, it's great. So it's nice to finally call owners and call them up and go, hey, guess what? Your policy only went up 3.5%.
They're like, pay it now. They're like, pay it right now.
And so, and also, the nice thing is with ours, we pay monthly. So it's 25% down, and then we pay the rest of it over 10 months, which is nice. It helps the cash flow with a lot of these buildings. And the other thing that's good too is if I take on a new property, I have to pay the fire and everything, but the liability policy absorbs it. So they don't pay anything on liability when they first come on. I don't know why. I don't ask why.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But you got the coverage. You just don't pay for it.
You don't pay for it the first whatever. It's not a year, because you're getting it in the middle of policy.
Oh, I see.
And so when it comes in the middle of policy, they don't charge for liability.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a small piece. It's a very small piece of it.
GL is pretty cheap.
Yeah, it's very cheap. So on a 200,000 square foot building, they may be saving $4 or $5 grand, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, $4 or $5 grand, you save it 10 times, and all of a sudden, it's a real number. So anywhere we can save, we save, right? So
I bet they just look at it and say, it's not us. It's not worth the time re-underwriting it, and just because fire and AOP is super easy, right? You got this many square feet, is a sprinkler or not, gear construction, all that, you throw it in there. But on the GL stuff, it's probably
ours isn't even that. Ours is literally, I have the formula. Like they they give you a formula. And so if you come to me and you say, once you guys manage my building, by the way, how much is your insurance? And I look it up, and your building is 122,000 square feet. I can plug it in, and it gives me what within 1%, 2%, what your premium will be.
Interesting. Yeah.
So once we do the policy, it's really a square footage number at that point.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
Now they do want to know, does it have sprinklers? Does it have this? Does it have that? And if you don't check enough boxes, then you can't put on the master policy. Then I have another secondary policy that it goes on.
Okay.
So if it's it's old, doesn't have sprinklers, which I don't think we have any buildings not sprinklers anymore.
These days,
even the old vintage stuff has sprinklers nowadays. Or if it's an
we almost put them in our building.
Oh, over here. Yeah, you weren't required to though, because
we're 2 stories.
Yeah. If you're 2 stories or less, you don't have to. Actually, you can go all the way up to 4 stories, generally speaking, and not have to sprinkle on the city code. But a lot of people do anyways.
Yeah.
For liability purposes.
Well, and it does. I mean, it's a significant savings if you do it long enough.
Yeah. Well, also, if there's ever a fire, generally will save your building from burning to the ground, right? Because the firefighter coming in is not going to save your building from burning to the ground.
No, they are not.
They're going to save it from spreading to other things, but they're not going to save. They're going to watch it burn internally and just collapses.
There's nobody in there, right?
Right.
Nope. They're like, okay.
We'll keep it from spreading. That's all we're going to do.
Yeah, that's all.
So the sprinklers, though, will contain it, and then you have smoke damage, but it's a lot cheaper than putting up a new building.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And honestly, no one, it's a rare doubt nowadays. We fight it all the time. You don't insure the building. It for, I owe $20 million in the building. I need to insure it for at least $20 million, pay off the loan if it burns to the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then we're selling a lot.
Right. And that's all you got is a lot left. Right. Because at the end of the day, it probably costs you $50 million to rebuild that $20 million building.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to rebuild you're not going to rebuild it. You're not going to insure it for $50 million. And most insurance companies are going to tell you, I'm not insuring it for $50 million.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I guess that's interesting too. It's like when you look at the landscape out there, are you seeing a lot of office deals? Because office space is where everyone's hurting right now, office and multifamily. And I keep looking out there and I'm like, I'm waiting for those. It seems to me, I was chatting with another guy yesterday, and it seems to me all the office related stuff are all like really big buildings.
No, not really.
No.
But what is interesting, I literally talked about this we have a big meeting with kind of our executives every 2 weeks. We're talking about this. So what our capital markets guys are seeing is it used to be kind of rare where the lender would basically kick the can down the road, right? They're all kicking the can down the road right now.
Oh, wow.
So what's happening is you're going in and you're saying, hey, Mr. Lender, I can't afford to refinance this thing, so I'm going to have to give you the keys back. And the lender says, can you still make the same payment? And you say, well, yeah, I make the same payment, but I can't afford to refinance. Fine. I'm going to give you a 1-year extension, keep making the same payment. Because the lenders don't want them back either.
No, yeah, nobody wants it.
Well, then they got to write it down. Then they have to write down their books and they have to go sell it. They'd rather give you the opportunity. Maybe you can make this come back around, or maybe rates, interest rates come down, and which obviously didn't, because the Fed yesterday said, no, screw all of y'all.
That's right.
We're going to play for the inflation.
Yeah.
Right.
Until 2026, when Powell's got to find a new gig.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, yeah, they're kicking the can down the road. So, but we are still seeing some come to market, like the one I was telling you about that the guy's personally guaranteed. Because a lot of them can afford to keep running them. They can't afford to refinance it. But there is some that not only they can't afford to keep the financing going, but they can't afford to keep running them either. They don't have the capital to keep putting in the building. They can't do deals. They can't.
Yeah.
They don't have commission dollars. They don't have tenant improvement dollars. So what's happening is their buildings are vacating. And so those are the ones that we're seeing come to the market, right? Not the ones where the guy's like, no, I'm still 70% occupied. I can still make debt service if my debt stays the same. And the lender goes, oh, great. Then keep making your debt service. Here's a 1-year extension. And some of them have done it a couple times now. Now, I think those are going to start drying up into 25, 26. I think the lenders are going to probably go, you know what? Fine, we're going to start taking these things back. We're just going to start writing them down, get them off our books, and we're going to take the hit, and we'll go on.
I noticed, like, I've looked at a lot of those buildings up in Greenspoint, because there's a buddy of mine doing some stuff up there, and I look at it and I'm like, okay, this is a quote great deal, but it's going to need $20 to $30 in TI.
Oh, more than that.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's where we're starting at, right?
Yeah.
And then once you get into the HVAC and the roof and all that other stuff, it's like, man, I don't know if this is all that great of a deal. This looks like a giant pain in the ass.
I'll give you an example. We literally had a guy came to us, bought a great building in Greenspoint. Great building, good bones. I know the building very well because I managed a building with a different company 15 years ago, and we did all new HVAC. We did all new sprinklers. I knew everything that building was solid, right? Because it was all less than 15 years old.
Yeah.
In the commercial world, that's not very long, right?
Yeah.
Unlike the residential world, you got a 15-year-old AC unit. That's an old unit.
Yeah.
In the commercial world, AC unit's 15 years old. It's not old. It's halfway through its life cycle. So knew the building was good, knew the bones were good, but it was only like 10, 15% occupied. Bought it off of auction, right? Bought it for like $22 a foot.
Jeez.
So we go, he hires us, we go meet with him. And we had a good learning experience because we said, oh, okay, great. Well, you can afford for us to fill this up, right? And oh yeah, I can afford it. I got plenty of money. We're good. Okay. Now we get a little more specific when we ask, right? Because it turns out we go back to them 4 months later. We say, hey, great news. We have a tenant to take almost the entire second floor because the only occupied floor was the first floor.
Okay.
And by the way, the elevators didn't work either. So we were gonna have to work on the elevators, but we went to them.
Boy, that gets pricey quick.
It does. Because elevators can be anywhere from $250,000 to $300,000 a piece to modernize them. So we go back and we said, hey, we got almost a full floor deal. He says, great. How big is that? And we said, it was like 20,000 square feet. How much is that going to cost me? $1.2 million. I don't have 1.2 million, but you said you have money. It's $60 a foot. And 1.2 million was because we had to demise. So this building was at one point one tenant. And so nothing was demised out, right? So we had to go through and demise it. We had to fix the elevators, right? We had to make it so everybody get the restrooms.
Yeah,
if you're gonna put multiple people on the floor, all this stuff. So we figured out the cheapest way to do it, 1.2 million. He basically said he doesn't have the money. I don't have the money.
He's like, well, what are you gonna do then, dude?
What are we doing then?
Yeah.
Right. And so he said, well, just let's make the tenant pay for it. And we're like, not in Greens Point. That's the reason to come to Greens Point is because they don't have any money.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
this isn't the Galleria.
Right. So we figured out real quick he wasn't going to do it. And so we parted ways. Now we're more specific. Like, how much cash do you have right now if I did a deal?
Yeah. In that LLC.
Right. How much cash is available in your company right now?
Yeah.
If I called you tomorrow and said I need $1 million because I was going to do a big deal in your building, could you do it? Right. We get more specific now because you have to. Yeah. Because, you know, a lot of the other thing is, you know, institutions aren't buying in Houston anymore. So the you know, MetLifes and the Hartfords and all those guys that were buying in Houston for the last 15 years are all pulling out.
They just don't want the storm exposure.
I think a lot of them are pulling out of an office in general. Gotcha. I mean, they'll buy industrial. There's still there's institutional money in Houston for industrial and for multifamily, but not an office. But just across the board, I think most institutional money is pulling out of office. They're still going to be in New York. They're still going to be in Chicago. They're still going to be in LA because those are the three markets they all love because they're all pricey as hell. But they're all pulling out. So what you're getting is a lot of family money coming in and buying stuff now. But they're buying it cheap, right? Because the other thing is like the big boys they're like, we lost, right? We bet on office and it was 30% of our portfolio and we lost. We're going to sell it off and we're going to take the hit and
move on.
Yeah. And so they're selling it to individuals. We got a lot of, I would say 90% of our, probably 80% of our clients are
just little families just buying stuff.
Family buying stuff, individual buying stuff. They made some good money doing something else. They got 2 or 3 million sitting on the sideline, and they're like, "Well, if I buy an office building at $40 a foot, and I put $40 into it, and I can cash flow, and I can, you know, be making 15% return, 20% return. Okay, it works for me."
Yeah, and then, you know, the cost of the replacement cost on something like that is
$350,
really,
or more.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't build it for that cheap. Not even close. No. So, yep.
Yeah, it's hard to screw up when you're buying it for less than replacement costs.
Well, people did that before, and still.
Well, yeah, they still screw.
But my thing was like, I mean, you know, if you could buy office buildings, Class B building, Class A minus buildings, $40, $50, $60 a foot. It can't go a whole lot lower.
No.
Right, like
or the Class C in a good. I don't know what you consider this. I know you guys just
renovated A minus.
This is A, but in a fantastic area, right? So
this is a different. This one you're not. This one's a, you know, $250, $300 a foot building, only because of the area. Well, the building's nice, but it's in a nice area.
Yeah,
and down the street in City Center, you know, those are $400, $500.
Oh, easily.
Building.
Oh, yeah.
So.
The new epicenter here in Houston. This is already going to be our new downtown. I'm convinced.
It is. I agree. No, I agree. I mean, you know, Galleria was for a while, but you know, every time you talk to somebody that has to go to Galleria, like, I hate going to Galleria.
It's a nightmare, dude. It's an absolute.
Unless you're going to like Woodway, right?
Yeah.
If you're going past Woodway, it's like 20 to 30 more minutes to get anywhere else.
I have to go to jury duty tomorrow, and I'm just like, I gotta go downtown. I'm like, I am not. In fact, I didn't even see what court I'm going to. But I'm like,
hopefully it's right there on the what is it, northwest side of the city?
Yeah,
where the courthouse is or whatever.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that.
That's not as hard to get in and out of as like going into the city.
Yeah,
it still sucks.
Yeah, well, and it's 8 a.m. right? It's not like it's, hey, come on by at 10, right? So,
or they should, you know, they should do that. They should make jury duty it's starting at like 9:30 a.m.
Yeah, 9:30.
People wouldn't care as much.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, it's not that big a deal. I can go in. Traffic's a little bit better, and but it's just like it's gonna be. I'm hoping it's like a real estate case, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a real estate guy. I know all kinds of stuff about real estate. They're like, all right,
You're out.
Get rid of that guy, right? So,
or like the last time I was there, it was they chose over the second jury chosen. We sat there for an hour. They came out. And they go, all right, we came to a agreement. You guys can all go home.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So my jury duty lasted like 2.5 hours. So that was great. But I've heard of people getting 2-week jury duty.
Oh, geez, like a murder trial or something crazy.
What? No, no. I've one person I know did a deal where it was fraud. It was a fraud case. And crazy thing was the person that was president and CEO was a figurehead. It was an ex-professional athlete that literally had some money in the deal, but they had nothing to do with the company, really. They were just paying him to be the figurehead.
Wow.
But because he was president and CEO, he was the one front and center for fraud.
Wow.
Yeah, could you imagine that? Like someone's like, hey, I'm just going to pay you $500,000, Jason, because I want to use Jason Bible's name on my company. And by the way, you don't have to really do anything. You come in the office, you go play freaking solitaire on your computer most of the day. And you do that, all of a sudden the feds show up 3 years later and knock on your door and Jason Bible, yeah, you're under arrest for fraud.
And you're like, what?
Dude, I'm playing solitaire. What are you talking about?
I don't even have a login to a computer. That's wild.
Yep.
That is wild. I think they do a licensing agreement instead of, I don't know, it depends on, I guess, what those lawyers sometimes.
Who knows? But I think he got out of it. I don't remember, but I think they basically found him not guilty because they really were able to prove he really didn't know that was going on.
He goes, I don't know. I had a key card to the building in an office, guys. Like, I don't,
literally probably didn't have a login in the computer, right?
Yeah.
Like, what about, have you seen these financials? I wouldn't even know what your financials look like.
Yeah.
Right? Dude, I play basketball. I have no idea what the financials look like.
Look, man, I was, what is it? Shaking babies and kissing hands or something like that. Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty funny.
Well, we should talk about the deal that I'm working on with you.
The storage facility?
Yeah.
It's working out pretty good.
Dude, like everybody I've showed it to in the office.
Yeah.
Like the pictures, like, was this the same one that we tried to sell for them like 2 years ago? Yeah. No way. And I'm like, yeah.
Dude, you ought to see that. I got drone video footage of before and after and all that. Like, we're going to put a whole thing together. It turned out really good. I was pretty, aside from the problems that we had with it, it turned out pretty good.
Well, it's on CoStar now. It's on LoopNet, it's on Crexy, it's on everywhere.
Yeah.
So
we haven't gotten a deluge of offers yet.
No, today's the first day. So
okay. Your inbox will fill up tomorrow.
That's right. So, I did get a solicitation day for someone that said, I saw your you're okay with me saying the address, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Your deal over in Alvin on Callaway. By the way, I'm looking for industrial.
Oh, that's funny.
I said, okay. So
was that the sign in the yard?
No. He saw it on CoStar.
Okay.
No, it's an investor. It's a guy that's actually an investor. So we're actually, but yeah, it was interesting. That was the one thing I've gotten so far. But I'm sure we'll get people going by and look at it. It was interesting, like we talked about. Mm-hmm. So there's this whole, and I don't do a whole ton of brokerage, so. But I did go around to my guys have been doing this for a long time, and I said, so what's your consensus on, because a lot of guys put the price on it and some guys put no price.
I hate the no price listings. It drives me freaking.
It drives everybody nuts, right? It's like, because what they're trying to. So I asked our bigger guys that have, do multi-million-dollar commissions a year, and I said, give me your take on this. What do you think of it? They said, well, here's the deal. If you're working for a guy that wants to see the numbers, how many calls are you getting every day on my property?
Yeah.
Put no price. Mm-hmm. I'm like, why? He goes, because every tire kicker in all of the United States is going to call you, email you, hit you up for what's the price, price, right? So then you get to report all those back to your client to say, oh, look, here, I got
all these inquiries.
I got 50 inquiries this 1 week for your property, right? Literally, none of them are going anywhere, right?
Right.
So I said, if you're just trying to sell it for someone and they don't care about how many pops you get on it, put the price on it.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to weed out every Joe Schmo that is looking to go out and find a storage unit facility, and he has $300,000 to spend,
Yeah.
right? And which you're not buying any kind of
Yeah,
storage
you're
unit.
buying-
You're buying a garage, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You're
Right.
buying a glorified, 5-car garage somewhere.
So we put the price on there, and but dude, you guys just telling you like my marketing department was like when I gave it to them, they're like, are you sure this is the same one?
It's the same one.
Same one. Like, wow, crazy what like putting some concrete in and
Dude,
putting
when you put
paint
concrete,
and
I remember when we went out there and had we painted it before concrete? No, we hadn't painted it yet. And because they were still doing roof repair, siding repair, all that stuff. And I walked it. And then when they just put the concrete down, I was like, wow, like you could tell it looked good. And then when they painted it, we got the new doors on. I mean, it looks like something some REIT put together, right? I mean, it looks,
Yeah.
and the pictures look really good. So I'm looking at a deal right now. I want to get this one under contract to sell, but I'm looking at a 90-acre project right now. And I think we pull 15, 20 acres out and do boat and RV storage. And then we do acre or half acre custom home lots. And then I think there's something else we do with the northern portion of this thing. But I've done a couple of these commercial deals now, and I'm like, man, this is pretty good. I kind of like, having 2 or 3 of these little projects going and not like buying 100 houses a year, right? 100 houses a year is a pain in the ass, but this is kind of nice.
Tracking 100 houses is a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you're getting to the point in your single family portfolio where it's about to start to get real fun with folks moving out. Another guy moves in, and
I'm doing it right now.
you get to that like 20 to 30, and you start pulling your hair out. It's just like it's too much.
Dude, I've already pulled it all out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's getting pretty hairy. Matter of fact, I actually thought about grouping a bundle of them together of 15, 18 of them and selling them off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And well, if I do that, I'm just going to go buy some more multifamily. Because we're buying that multifamily that we're having a contract now, and I'd like to go do some more multifamily. Just it's easier to have 75, 80, 100 doors in one location than to have 75, 80 door, 100 doors spread out across
all over the place,
southern Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because as mine are, as funny as when I tell people that I have, I don't know, somewhere between 25 and 30, I'd have to go back and look. They're like, oh, in Houston? I'm like, no, actually, I only have 2 in Houston.
Yeah.
Texas City, Navasota.
Yeah.
And now I have, more than half are probably now in Groves, Nederland, Port Arthur.
Mm-hmm. I like Groves and Nederland. Nice.
Well, the nice thing about I started in Port Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you a story about the guy called me up and said, hey, I heard you buy real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a portfolio of 3 houses in Port Arthur. And I knew kind of where Port Arthur was, but I wasn't sure. I'd actually go map it. I'm like, okay, that's south of Beaumont. Okay. And he goes, yeah. I go, I didn't know if you'd be interested. I'm like, I'm kind of don't have a project. I'm finishing one of my project now, my house that I had up in Navasota. And I said, I'm finishing that one up. I don't have another one going on. When I say finishing up, I'm not out just.
Yeah, you're not out there swinging a hammer.
No. I'll drop off materials. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
writing checks and sweating your butt off until the AC gets put in. Right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I said, okay, yeah, I might be interested. I said, well, how much is it? 100,000. I said, okay. So 100,000 a piece of $300,000. And he's like, no.
That's right.
So 100,000 for 3 houses.
And you're like, I don't know. It sounds kind of high.
I said, can you send me a picture of these houses?
Yeah.
Like, are these things standing? I mean, are these like about to fall down? No. One of them's actually almost done. I literally bought those sight unseen. He sent me pictures of them, and I thought, man, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done. But I want to buy them.
Yeah,
sight unseen. So I did, and they were one of them was almost done. The guy that works for me today is still working for me. Been with me now 4 years. I bought that one 4 years ago. I hired him off of Facebook. I said, come in here. It had like 4 pipes. It was after a freeze.
Oh, yeah.
One of our amazing freezes.
20, 22, 23.
It would have been 21 freeze.
Yeah.
Anyways, 3 pipes broke underneath the house. That's why the guy didn't want to keep going. He had almost the whole inside done.
He just didn't want to deal with it.
He didn't deal with the pipe breaks in the house. It's a pure beam. And
yeah, but it's not that hard to get under there.
So I said, can you fix those? He's like, yeah, I got to do some digging, but I can fix those. great. Until you finish the rest of the stuff in here, and it was $2,000 in work, $3,000.
Really?
And he goes, yeah. And so he gave me a price, and it was like, I think I spent $4,000 or $5,000 for the whole house getting it ready.
Wow.
And it's the only Section 8 I did 2 Section 8s. The other one I'm not doing Section 8 anymore. The lady, it was a nice, a little bit older lady, moved into it. She's been there ever since for 4 years.
Oh, they never move out. Like,
But
the Section 8 folks just kind of.
It's by herself.
Yeah.
Her grandson comes. It's 2-bedroom, 1 bath. She calls me up every 6 months with, hey, can you come? Whatever.
Sure, I'll send one of the guys over there.
Send my guy over. Anyway, that's how I got into it. But now I buy more in Groves, Nederland, and
I like Groves.
it's the school district.
Ah, okay.
So I found out that it's called PNG, is the school district, and so the PNG school district is much better than the Port Arthur.
Gotcha.
And so when I get people calling me up, the first thing they ask me is it PNG school district?
Yeah.
Which means they have a family, right?
Yeah.
Now my Port Arthur stuff is great for turnarounds.
Yeah, I was gonna say your turnaround guys are gonna be in and out of there.
Just did one yesterday in the house.
Really?
Yeah, a duplex. I have a duplex done, a 2-bedroom, 1 bath.
How long are they staying for? A year? They staying for like 6 months?
Dude, sometimes it's 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have one house with 3 guys in it. They've been there since I remodeled it 18 months ago.
And it's still there.
Month to month. I have another one. The guys were there almost 2 years.
Wow.
I have another one. The guys have been there about 14 months.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them, I had this one that's a 2-bed, that's a duplex. This will be my 3rd guy in there in a year. All turnarounds. Sometimes they only go 60, 90 days. Sometimes they go years.
Which is fine, because those guys just they get paid, right? And they're not screwing around the house either. They're working 900 hours. For those who listen to the podcast, like oil and gas, petrochem turnarounds, like those guys are working.
6 a.m., 6 p.m. That's what they work. And they come home, they shower, they eat, they have a beer or 2, they play a little bit of Xbox, PlayStation, whatever they're going to play. And they're in bed by 9 because they're getting up at 5 in the morning,
That's
4
right.
in the morning, right? And so and that's all they do. And then on Fridays, most of them, they get off work, man, they head back home.
Wherever they go. Yeah.
They go back to the homestead, wherever that is, and they come back in on Sunday night.
Yeah.
And or sometimes they drive straight into work on Monday.
Oh,
yeah, no,
go right in.
But they're great. Yeah, right. They're great, man. And I can tell you, like, I've been into their house, like when I've had some in there, they're clean, dude. Because if there's 4 of us staying in a house and you use a dish and a fork and a spoon and you eat, you better freaking clean your stuff.
That's right.
So there's one guy that's going to be in charge. So usually an older guy. When I say older, he's in his 30s.
Right. Yeah.
All the rest of them in their teens and 20s.
Yeah.
And he's like, he gets those guys in. No. You take a shower, you clean the shower.
Yeah.
You use a dish, you clean the dish. No one else is here to be on somebody else's maid. We're too busy.
I know. Yeah. Too busy. And it's a house with 4 dudes in it, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a whole bunch of room. Well, I'll tell you the one thing I keep looking at is we're looking at some of this build to rent stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things I looked at, I said, if we've got enough margin on it, we could literally build 2 sections. In one section, we'd sell everything, pay the investors, all that stuff, and then practically get a free and clear section of just build to rent and run it like, a giant apartment complex. But my thought was, hey, let's subdivide all of it. So that when we're ready to exit, then we just sell them off onesie twosies.
Or even if you sectioned it off into 10 sections.
Yeah.
Sell off one section, sell those.
Yeah.
So here's 7 houses, here's 5 houses, here's 8 houses. Yeah. I mean, you could sell them off one by one.
Yeah. Just
laws are lotted. I mean, it doesn't matter how.
Yeah. So we keep playing with that model. In fact, I had a happy hour yesterday, and of course we got a happy hour today too. But I had a happy hour yesterday. We talked just about that model. It's like, man, that one deal you're looking at, you ought to turn them from an acre to half-acre lots and do mobile homes and sell those off on under finance. And
have you seen that? What is that deal up there in Porter? What is it? Oh, what's it called? There's a deal in Porter, dude. It's like that. It's insane when you go out there. But they didn't do half-acre lots. They're not even quarter-acre lots. I mean, they're
really
teeny tiny. They're like a shotgun lot.
Yeah.
With a mobile home on it.
Yeah, we can't get We don't have sewer and electric on this one, so you got to do a well.
Oh, they did on this one. This is the middle of freaking nowhere.
No kidding.
It's called something. And I've been out there. I'm notorious for buying stuff on Facebook.
Yeah.
Going out and I just literally bought like 10 sheets of cement board for putting tile on the other day because the guy was wanting $5 a piece for them. I'm like, great.
Oh, great. I'll take it.
I'll pick them up after work, right? And so I've done a couple of those and I've picked them up from this place. And it's like when you go up, the roads are cement. They're not asphalt. They're cement. And it's the middle of nowhere. It's crazy. But there is a million houses out there. I'm trying to remember what the name of it's called.
And they're
Plum Grove.
Plum Grove.
And that's the size of it. And I'm telling you, look at these lots. They're teeny, teeny, tiny.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
And it's mostly mobile homes. It's Plum Grove. So the developer, my understanding, I don't know the whole story. And I could be totally wrong on this. I'm going what I heard. But he sold these lots off. And what he would basically do is like, it's obviously made for mobile homes and such. So he hooked up with a couple mobile home companies. So people would come in and be like, oh yeah, go see my buddy over at this mobile home park, our sales place. And he'll sell your mobile home. Buy the lot. It's $2,000 down and $200 a month for 10 years. Right.
Yeah.
And these guys are like, great, I can afford that. Right. And I get to own my own lot. Yeah. And
I mean, there's the city of Plum Grove.
Yeah.
It's north of Houston.
Yes. That's it. And
interesting.
And they would sell these, and my understanding is their whole nut into the thing was what they were getting for down payment.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
So they're selling, the down payment. I don't know if it's $2,000 or $5,000, whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is. So you're already free and clear. You're just creating notes.
Yeah. Now I got some guy paying me $200, $300 a month for a sliver of land.
Yeah.
And I got 10,000 of those guys.
Yeah.
There's 10,000 lots over there. It's nuts.
No kidding.
It's huge.
Yeah. So these are the kind of things
you have to look into that. It's an interesting concept. This guy, and this is all floodplain crap too, which is even crazier.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, it actually says flooding right here. Huh.
Oh, yeah. It's all
interesting.
Now they built it up when you go there. You can tell that they've built it up, and I guess they got the city to like paid for the roads or something.
Oh, well,
like the county.
There's all those development deals. Plum Grove. I'm gonna have to look at this.
You need to look at that. It's an interesting. We should do a podcast on Plum Grove.
We'll do. Yeah,
well, we got to do some research. We got to do some research on it.
I'm sure there's some older dude that we know that's like, I know the guy who did that. And his dad.
It's not very old.
It said 1968. No, 70.
No, it can't be that old.
Maybe I'm looking at the wrong.
Maybe that's when Plum Grove started, but the development didn't start back. The development's been in the 2000s.
It's population.
The population is way higher than that.
Yeah.
Population is probably 40,000 people now.
Let me do this. Plum Grove
development.
Colony Ridge.
Maybe that's what it was called, Colony Ridge.
33,000 acres.
Yeah, that was probably what it is. Crap. But when people say Plum Grove, that's what they think it was this.
Yeah.
Huh. So I'm sure that the town has been there for
forever,
for a while. Like you said, 1960. But the subdivision, Colony Ridge, is that what it is? Colony Ridge? Yeah, that's it.
Huh.
That's not even. This is just part of it.
Yeah.
Because these are actual houses. Well, I guess we tell everybody we're actually looking at your laptop.
Yeah, I know. You guys can't see this.
But yeah, some of it's just
little
mobile
lots.
homes. Yeah. Some of them are just mobile homes.
Huh. So
some of them are little houses, but the lots from the mobile homes are way smaller than that.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you, like, I don't know, how wide a single wide is. I don't know, 20 feet?
20, yeah, 20. I think, what is a single wide lot?
15 feet? Probably 15, because the double wide is probably 30 feet, right?
25 by something? Let me see.
Well, I can tell you that the lots on these things are probably 25 by 50. They're small, but they're putting them on.
Yeah, they're probably 20. Single wide, at least 10,000 square feet.
No, these are right. No, they're not.
Single wide's 500. Okay, 12 to 18 feet wide and about 40 to 80 feet deep.
Yeah. So I'm telling you that these lots are 30, maybe 50 feet wide. No, not even. No,
not they're 25s.
They're 25 and 30. Yeah, and they're 50 feet, maybe 60 feet deep.
Mm-hmm.
And on one side is the mobile home. It's single wide.
Yeah,
and there's
crazy
1,000 of them. It's crazy. But what's really wild is I've been over there on a Saturday, And if you want real Mexican food, on the main drive, there's just all these pop-up stands where like a dude has a table and an umbrella, and he's over there selling fajitas. He's cooking on his grill.
See, that's what we do. We do the podcast from there, and we take the video and we just run down the street. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. They'd wonder what the hell we were doing over there. But
yeah, like, what are you guys doing? We're like, no, nothing. We're just checking things out.
I'm pretty sure they wouldn't go up and speak to us mostly in English.
Yeah, City of Plum Grove. Interesting.
Yeah, but I'm sure the Plum Grove City's been around for a little while, but the development is not. It's you need to look more into it. It's interesting. And what's funny was I'd been to it a couple times, and I didn't know it was called Plum Grove. And actually, one of our brokers here was talking about the development of over at Plum Grove. And I said, "Oh, that's what that is." He's like, "Yeah, it's Plum Grove." And I'm like, "I thought it was part of Porter." He's like, "No, it's Plum Grove."
Interesting.
I'm like, "Huh?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "It's a development that a guy did that."
Yeah. There, like I said, I'm starting to look at these land deals. In fact, the guy that called me earlier today, he said, "Hey man, what are you doing these days?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm not. I'm still doing single family. I'm building this little real estate club back up. But
are you doing the real estate club again?"
Yeah, that's what the happy hour is today.
Oh, where's that at?
Over at Texas Tea Tavern.
Oh, you're gonna do Texas Tea?
Yeah.
You get a hold of
I got a hold of what's his name?
Yeah.
Jeremy?
Well, don't say it on the.
Oh yeah, hold on one second.
Just have everybody the brother calling him.
Oh, that's true.
Anyways, you got a hold of Texas Tea guy.
Yeah, so I got a hold of the owner, and then he hooked me up with his right hand. I said, "Hey man, send me to your right hand man. Who's the guy that does all the catering?" So he hooked me up, and I said, "We just ordered like 2 platters, and it's tickets for beer and wine and well drinks."
Oh, so you're doing?
Yeah.
Is that where we're going after this?
Yeah, that's where we're going.
Well, you said happy. I didn't know where we were going.
Oh,
you didn't give me details. You just said, "Hey, we're gonna do a podcast. We're gonna
let's go do the podcast at the bar." And you're like, "No, let's sit the
Well, if I know it was Texas Tea, I would have gone there.
Yeah, just right down the street.
I'm thinking we're like going across the street to what's the big one over here?
Kirby.
Kirby, where we normally go.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to do a podcast at Kirby.
Kirby, yeah.
Oh, we can do this at Texas Tea.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Oh, it's a good. I got that little back room back there.
Did they charge you for it? They said you can have it.
No, they said I can have it.
So I told you about that. Like I knew that was a great place to do that stuff,
dude. So I think my platter.
And you know what? And it's a good location because it's off of Brittmore.
Yes.
It's 5 minutes south of I-10. It's 2 minutes from freaking Beltway.
Yeah.
So it makes it easy for anyone that's on the northwest, west, or southwest side of Houston.
Yeah, it's right there by the Beltway.
Oh, it's super easy. If you're west, northwest, or southwest, you're dumb for not showing up if you want to learn about real estate.
Oh, yeah. 100%. In fact, I can look. Let me see how many we got signed up. We got 30. That was earlier today. 35? 37 folks. So we should get 15, 20 people.
Well, it'll be 38 because I'm going.
Okay, there you go. 38. We'll get 20 to 30 people showing up. So what time?
Man, that's if we keep doing it there, that's gonna be a good deal.
Dude, it'll be a great
I bet you put a couple hundred people in there.
Oh yeah. Oh, we started at 4. Dude, last
it starts at 4?
Yeah.
So we got to wrap this up here.
Yeah, we got to wrap it up. So last night, Corey and I were there, and I said, "Hey, I want to stop by. I want to check out the room and all that other stuff." He said, "Okay, cool." We ended up staying way too late. Anyway, I was supposed to help out with some kid stuff. I totally screwed that up. I was like, "Hey, bad news. Your dinner is gonna have to get cut short." Anyway, so we were sitting there. That place filled.
Oh yeah,
last night, dude. It filled up on
a Wednesday night.
Wednesday night, yeah.
And tonight it'll fill up too.
Yeah. And what's so funny is,
but not until like 6.
Yeah, it's about 6 o'clock. Yeah, you can tell it's the locals who work in oil and gas, all those companies around there.
Yep.
It's about 6. It's the local watering hole.
I'm gonna grab a couple of beers before I go home.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. So, well, with that, I think we got to wrap this thing up.
Okay.
The No Name Texas Real Estate Podcast.
No Name Texas Real Estate Podcast.
No name.
We have to write that down so we don't forget it.
I know. No Name Texas Real Estate Podcast. All right. Well, let's go to the bar.
Sounds good.
We'll
Next episode, Plum Grove.
Yep.
Look forward to it. Tune in. More about Plum Grove.
More about